Formula 1 comes to the jewel in the 2021 calendar for the Monaco Grand Prix and round 10 of the season. And for the first time, the most historic race of them all will be run in the evening, with the race itself going until midnight. Friday practice then was critical for the drivers to get a sense of driving this already challenging track under floodlights, along with flashing camera lights from the grandstands and pockets of poor visibility. Ferrari come to Monaco with big updates and try to solve the issues they incurred at Spain and Canada, with Arriva Bene confident the team can rebuild a cushion in the Constructors' Championship. Meanwhile, the two Chevrolet-powered teams, Haas and Red Bull, are ready to continue their upward trajectory in performance that's seen them both take the fight to their closest rivals in the standings. Audi, who had been left severely frustrated after another race to forget in Canada, come to Monaco with no real answers on how they plan to rectify their issues. The German outfit admitted they have been stumped and constantly surprised by their diva of a car during races this season. In contrast, Jaguar are in high spirits with more updates to help their reliability. The team were buoyed as well by Ocon's performance last race and put down Van Dorn's poor showing down to a bad strategy. Finally, Renault are itching to get back into the points as soon as they can as they continue their feud with BMW Williams over 7th place in the championship. The French outfit, however, is confident it has far more resources at its disposal for the rest of the season compared to their frugal rivals. And so, after what seemed to be the most exhilarating race in MyDriver history last round, the paddock is ready to see what a Monaco night race has in store. And so, lining up for the first ever night race around the streets of Monte Carlo, it will be a Ferrari on pole with Leclerc going almost 2/10 quicker than his nearest rival Max Verstappen. The biggest gap in Q3 on Saturday was shockingly that between the Monaco native and his Dutch rival. The rivalry continues though on row 2 with the other Ferrari and the other Audi as Antonio Giovinazzi gets the better of Carlos Sainz by just over a tenth, but then it's just a few hundredths back to the third row, with Canadian Grand Prix winner and new championship leader aarava getting the better of his former teammate and former rival Stoffel Van Dorn, a narrow 17 thousandths of a second between them. Row 4 features more Chevy power, with Gasly 4 points behind in the championship and 2 places behind aarava for the start of a difficult race, and Pascal Wehrlein alongside him in the other Haas, and with just 16 thousandths between them in qualifying. Crucially, Pascal will also start ahead of his now former teammate, as Hülkenberg could only manage P9 alongside a disappointed Vettel, who was only 5/10 off pole, but on the fringe of the top half of the grid. Daniel Ricciardo nearly managed to wrestle his difficult McLaren out of Q2, but fell just short and will be in a silver arrow sandwich as Schumacher starts alongside him. Row 7 features Jack Aitken, who is still riding the high of another double-digit points finish last time out in Canada. He's joined by the lead monster rehab car of Sophia Florsch. Esteban Ocon got a podium at round 9 but struggled over one lap at the Monaco circuit, almost 5/10 slower than his teammate and narrowly ahead of Valtteri Bottas. Sergio Perez, meanwhile, finally managed to get the better of his teammate starting from P17, while Lando Norris can enjoy the start of a Grand Prix with cars behind him for once, specifically the Williams of Fuoco and, more surprisingly, the monster rehab of George Russell, who will start from last position over a second and a half off pole.
Hey, what's going on guys, aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 MyDriver Career Mode, episode number 10 today for Season 7 at the Monaco Grand Prix. And for the first time ever, we've got the Monaco Grand Prix under the floodlights here as we go from dusk to midnight for this race today. But if you have missed the previous episode, episode number 9 at the Canadian Grand Prix, be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. As was said in the practice commentary, probably one of the best, if not the best race we've ever had in this series, pretty much, according to you guys in the comments as well, and also in my opinion as well. The amount of action we had at the Canadian Grand Prix and just the hectic nature of that race was insane. And the support you guys showed on that episode was amazing, blown away by that. So thank you guys so much for that. As we head towards then the Monaco Grand Prix, going through the formation lap then as we head into this round with 5 rounds to go, including this one. At the moment, we lead the World Driver Championship from Pierre Gasly. In the Constructors, Ferrari just ahead, but level on points on Red Bull, but ahead by technicality there from Jaguar then in 3rd place. place, and ourselves with Haas now trying to chase down Audi as best we can in 5th place, behind them in 4th, and hopefully we can do some good work today to try and do that. But both the Audis and Ferraris looking strong. Obviously Monaco is all about track position, and it's going to be a case of the traffic and the tyre wear and how everyone handles that today. It's going to be a tough one, and it's going to be quite an experience under the floodlights for sure, and quite an exciting one. So let's get into it then as you head towards those 5 red lights for the Monaco Grand Prix, round number 10 of the season, the duel in the Formula 1 calendar. 5 red lights are out and we're underway. Slow start there for Giovinazzi. Myself and Sainz get away well, and we're trying to go around the outside, almost smack into the back of Carlos Sainz's gearbox, and we just about managed to keep it through in 5th place. But Verstappen now leads the way from Leclerc, going down to P2 now off the starting grid as Sainz tries to dart around. As we try and dart around, there's been some contact made with the wall and Giovinazzi as we're desperately trying to make any sort of move happen there. It's all getting a little bit hectic, and even more hectic behind us as the 2 Red Bull Chevrolet cars go side by side. Gasly there on the outside from Hulkenberg on the inside. That's going to be a bit of a tight squeeze, and the hairpin surely not there as the 2 Red Bulls still manage to keep it side by side. Oh, I think Gasly has just squeezed Nico Hulkenberg into the wall, and so the 2 Red Bull cars are going to war, and I think Hulkenberg there has some damage to his front wing end plate there as Pascal Wehrlein, my teammate, is tucked up behind him. They're still side by side, neck and neck through the tunnel there. Gasly on the inside still, and he dives it down. Is he going to make this work? He's going to have to force Nico quite some way wide there on the exit. I think he has done, and in doing so, I think that's Hulkenberg. It's hard to tell on the shadow works, but I think Hulkenberg's now gone down the order and has been overtaken by not only Pascal Wehrlein, but also I think that's Stoffel Van Dorn in the first of the 2 Jaguar cars there. So Gasly really getting the elbows out. Of course, he's our main rival in the championship in 2nd place, so he's getting the elbows out, and he's getting quite desperate at the beginning of this Monaco Grand Prix. It's Max Verstappen leading the way, as we mentioned, who got a great start off that first row and got ahead of Charles Leclerc, who was on pole position. You can see clearly on the replay there, just both Ferraris then bogging down with a lot of wheel spin off the start there, and the Ferraris obviously with some great clutch work. And so Leclerc has to settle down for 2nd place. He actually gets hounded by Carlos Sainz, and so Sainz tries something around the outside. It doesn't quite work, unlike what we did around the outside, where we made a bit of contact with the wall and had a bit of ping pong moments before we got into the actual casino square itself. But now we move on board with Nico Hulkenberg, and we'll see how he got on. So a bit of a tight squeeze, 3 wide between Van Dorn, Wehrlein and Gasly. Those 2 get sent wide, and Gasly is now susceptible to be attacked by Hulkenberg. So actually Nico is the one attacking Gasly at the start then, and Gasly actually had to defend his position instead of actually looking like he was the one getting the elbows out to attack there. And then close behind is Pascal Wehrlein, and then Stoffel Van Dorn just sitting back and watching this as then it's behind them Ricciardo, Vettel, Jack Aitken doing really well to be ahead of Mick Schumacher. Then we move on to a replay then a little bit further on with the lap, and this is when Gasly was able to get past fully, and when Hulkenberg basically lost all that time, and actually there was no contact made between the 2 Red Bull cars, just clearly a case of Hulkenberg maybe giving too much room to his teammate, and he kind of holds himself up there and allows himself to be overtaken by Van Dorn and Pascal Wehrlein. And so actually as we move on to the end of that lap then, it's actually Van Dorn and Hulkenberg both coming into the pit lane then for an early pit stop on lap 1. So obviously Hulkenberg had damage, so it looks like Van Dorn also collected some damage on that opening lap there. So unfortunate for those 2, they're now going to be majorly on the back foot as now we move on alive onto lap 3. Now this is Carlos Sainz trying to make a move around the outside of Charles Leclerc, and that's a very bold move around the outside. It will turn to the inside as they go into Casino Square, and Charles Leclerc just about holding on there and actually keeping his nose in, and so they're still side by side as they go through Mirabeau then and down to the hairpin. Who's going to kind of have the bigger balls here as they go side by side still, and surely not. No, there's some contact there between Leclerc and Sainz. I think Leclerc has squeezed Sainz into the wall. I say that, I mean, it's not intentional. I don't think they're trying their best, but you know, Formula 1 cars at full lock just about get there, you know, just by themselves, let alone 2 side by side. And so Sainz now with major damage to that right side of the front wing there. So that's probably going to be a pit stop for him. I would be surprised if he doesn't. And meanwhile now that's allowed us to close up as they've all kind of been a blockade to each other. And now we go down the inside of Giovinazzi, down the inside of the high-speed chicane before the swimming pool section. What a move that is on Antonio there. So close, inches of space and just inches away from that wall on the left-hand side. But flat out kept the commitment in there, and we've rewarded so. And we're up into 3rd place now, whereas Sainz has come in. So now we face a challenge of trying maybe to catch up to Leclerc if we can, but we'll lead from 3rd to Giovinazzi and then Gasly close behind. So awesome stuff there for us And all in all, a pretty decent start to the Monaco Grand Prix. And I think Verline, of course, is the next car after Gasly in that order. So with both of us up here and now with Sainz down the order after that early pit stop, this should be a really good chance to get some good constructors points. Although as we go into Mirabeau, oh, we just about narrowly missed the wall there as we lock up on the right tire, go too deep there, and we almost maybe had to go to the left and do a Nico Rosberg from the real life 2016 qualifying there, maybe duck out into the exit wall. Thankfully not, but we have lost the place to Giovinazzi nonetheless. So kind of half and half in terms of we didn't stick it in the wall, or we didn't lose major time having to go down the escape road, but we have lost one place now to the Ferrari. We have to try and re-overtake him if we can, so we move on to lap 6 now, so taking us 2 laps to recompose ourselves to maybe try and make another pop as we enter sector 3 as we go towards it now, trying to size up a move on Antonio, basically trying to set ourselves up there. So he goes a little bit defensive as we go in towards the fast left-hander in 3rd gear, really closing up right up his gearbox, pretty much touching it, and we have to be patient here. Just going to set this up, like I said, through swimming pool then, and could we make a cheeky little pop down the inside? Yes, we will. It's so close down the inside of Larascas, but there we go, up into 3rd place once again, and now this will maybe allow Pierre Gasly to close up and be opportunistic here as Giovinazzi's lost a lot of momentum through the final corner. And here goes Gasly round the outside then into turn 1. Bit of contact made between the Italian and the Frenchman, but the Frenchman ultimately is round the outside for a beautiful move, very daring there from Gasly, and he is up into 4th place. And Giovinazzi now looking a little bit flustered now and under pressure straight away from my teammate Pascal Wehrlein. And then you've got the McLaren Honda of Daniel Ricciardo there actually doing a great job meanwhile there right behind. And now we cut on onto lap 9, and this is Carlos Sainz and Stoffel Van Dorn and Nico Hülkenberg, all 3 of them way down the order and having to make their way back through this Grand Prix. All 3 of them, I think, on ultra-soft tyres, so they're opting for the 2-stop there. Meanwhile, with Verstappen in a world of his own, in contrast there, all the clean air in the world, as Sainz was caught up there behind one of the BMW Williams cars, as well as Charles Leclerc, who has plenty of clean air. Then you got ourselves in 3rd, and then Gasly chasing behind in 4th, that lovely camera shot. I say it every single year, but I love that camera shot through the swimming pool section. But now we move on to lap 10, back to our POV, and we're coming in for our first pit stop now for another set of ultra soft tyres, I think this will be. So it's going to be a 2-stop for us today. Obviously in 2021 the tyres degrade a lot more than they have done in previous years, and so I'm not too sure what the other guys' plans are, but my plan definitely is going to be a 2-stop there, as the tyres are really starting to already get kind of wrecked out to about 41% worn on the rear tyres. So it's going to be a case of, can we have enough clean air, and can we hopefully not hit too much traffic to make that work. And as we exit the pit lane there, there was plenty of clean air ahead of us, and now we move on to lap 11. Verstappen is in, but crucially Charles Leclerc will not come in, so Verstappen's definitely looking like a 2-stop there, as he's onto a set of ultra soft tyres again, I think, just like I am as we go through. Yes, confirmation there, he is on the purple ultra soft tyres, but Leclerc stays out. So it's going to be a question of if Leclerc and Ferrari are trying a very cheeky 1-stop compared to, I would imagine, most people trying a 2-stop. I think it's the faster way to go on paper, although that is the key word, on paper. It's really a case of if we get hit with what we can see right now is a whole lot of traffic. So you can see we're right behind Nico Hülkenberg. We need to try and get past this entire train to make this work, and so we're right up the gearbox of the German, down the inside, lock up there as he goes over the curbing. And can we try and set up this move for another time down the inside of Raskas, again locking up on the right tire and just about squeezing our way through, but Hülkenberg does well to hang it to the outside of the last corner. He's going to try and fight hard. We're going to have to squeeze him to the outside left hand side towards the wall with DRS wide open there. But as we move on to lap 14, down the inside of turn 1, and we should get that, and we're up into P15 now. But we've got plenty of other cars trying to overtake. We're out of sync in this Grand Prix, including Stoffel Van Dorn, our previous teammate from just a few races ago. So can we overtake him in the same part we did Hülkenberg as we go towards Raskas? Won't need to. Maybe it's Van Dorn with a really bad lockup on the right hand side there, and we just nipped to the inside there, effectively a little bit nice switchback move on him in the middle of the chicane, and we're up into B14. So thank you very much, Stoffel, gifting us that position. And so the next car up is Carlos Sainz, who's still being held up by that traffic. Meanwhile, on lap 15 now, the race leaders, Leclerc, yet to pit in this race. Verstappen with one pit stop already made, and on fresher ultra soft tyres is closing back up to maybe try and retake the lead of this Grand Prix. Interestingly, the Audi looking a lot faster around the Monaco Grand Prix than ever has done before in previous years, and Verstappen around the outside of Leclerc. He's pushed him wide, and he's effectively shoved him off the road almost there, off the racing line, to take the lead back of the Monaco Grand Prix. And so that was a little bit iffy, but I guess, you know, fair enough maybe. I don't think the FI are going to look into that. So Leclerc down to second, with Gasly still in third. Interestingly enough, actually, with Verstappen as well, it was good to know that when he made the pit stop for another set of ultra soft tyres, he came out ahead of Gasly, so he didn't have to re-overtake Gasly or Wehrlein. He had that much pace at the beginning of this race that the only person he lost out to by making that first pit stop was Leclerc. So Verstappen definitely does have the pace to make the two-stop work, and you've got to say he's in a much better position than I am to make that work, because at the moment we're still now in traffic and in a train, and we're finding ourselves behind Sainz to try and overtake him on lap 16. We'll go for a little pop down the inside. It's a really late dive bomb there, and Sainz across the curbing, having to cut the corner somewhat. He gives us the space though, so fair play to him. Major respect to Carlos there for giving us the room to try and fight him, and we go side by side almost to the next left-hander. Just have to give up the positions. We don't have enough momentum there, and that causes a bit of a train now, led by Sainz and tail-ended by Hulkenberg there in the background shots. We move on now to lap 18, so 2 laps later, to recompose ourselves, to maybe make another similar pop to the inside, maybe? No, not quite, but a little bit of lock up on the left tire. You can see how much we're pushing into this section as I have the pace over these guys, I think, in this sector as Sainz goes defensive. Can we make another little nice switch back as we did on Giovinazzi down the inside of the high-speed chicane? It's a lovely move down the inside on Sainz, and we're up the order, and that is another satisfying overtake, and we're up into P7 now. The next man up is Antonio Fuoco there in the first of the 2 BMW Williams cars, both on super softs, I believe. And now we look at a replay here. It's actually of Pascal Wehrlein, our teammate. This was on the same lap, I believe, as I overtook Sainz on that lap. Wehrlein going for a move on Sergio Perez here around the outside. Fuoco's the one behind them, just in the background. There's Perez actually puts up a fight though against Wehrlein, and so Wehrlein goes around the outside of him on the left-hander, and so in the same place I made the move on Sainz, Wehrlein is going to pull off an even better overtake there on the outside, even trickier to do. That's amazing. And so both our Haas guys really finding some form and some momentum through that sector, and especially just under the Monaco floodlights as well, just makes it even prettier. So absolutely awesome stuff as we now cut back to our POV, closing up on Antonio Fuoco now, the first of the 2 BMW Williams cars, darting around left and right, eventually go to the right down the inside of Mirabeau, and we'll get it up into P6. So making swift work of these BMW Williams guys, of course, both of them on super soft tyres, and I think they have been running those tyres since the beginning of this Grand Prix, which is pretty damn impressive due to the tyre wear around the circuit with the new tyres this year. But it should make for easy pickings here as we close up to Perez now in the tunnel, and Rich Mix slipstream here on the right hand side again, just like with our teammate Wehrlein on the outside of the chicane, although Perez this time I think has hit the wall on the inside there and made contact with us and forced us to go over the curbing. No kind of action anyway, and Perez lets us go up into 5th place. So a bit of a iffy overtake there, but it looked like Perez did make contact with the wall and kind of bounced back into us to push us a little bit wide, but nonetheless we'll get that, and we would have got that either way anyway eventually. But we move on to lap 23 now for our second and final pit stop of the afternoon now, onto super soft tyres. So we took this second set of ultra soft tyres quite some way, you know, that was around 13 laps there compared to the 10 on the first stint, so we could have maybe gone a little bit longer on the first stint and kind of made that a bit more even. But either way, onto now finally a set of super soft tyres. Of course we have to change tyres eventually in the race onto a different compound anyway due to the rules, otherwise I would have just liked to have gone on and seen where we could have got up to. But now we're going to face some more traffic, unfortunately, to come out just ahead of Valtteri Bottas then, the other Renault that we have seen this afternoon. And we're in 10th place though, so already in the points paying position, so that's good to see. And you can see Lando Norris there struggling behind the wake of Sebastian Vettel in dirty air. And can we try and overtake him now into Mirabeau, straight away into the action, out the pit lane, down the inside of first, get up into second as we go to the exit, and we're up into P9. And now we'll get right at the back of the gearbox of our former rival of seasons gone by, Sebastian Vettel, the 5-time world champion there in the Monster Mercedes racing cars. We go into the tunnel now. Can we get enough slipstream to maybe make a pop as we exit the tunnel? We're going to try and go around the outside. It's going to be a bold move here, and Vettel will have all the room to squeeze us maybe to the inside. And so far so good as we enter the apex. A little bit of a lock up there from Vettel on the front left, and ultimately that's going to be the thing that catches him out, and he has to defend now from the car behind him. I think that was a McLaren actually of Daniel Ricciardo. Yeah, I think it is just ahead of Bottas then. So we're up into P8 and now chasing after another Jaguar car. This time I think it's Esteban Ocon now, and we battled him plenty in Canada. Can we try and overtake him in the same place we overtook his teammate previously? Not going to be. But into Raskas, can we make a pop perhaps down the inside? There we go. That'll be our third overtake in Raskas there. So definitely our infamous overtake is out in full force today, and we're up at the order on lap 26 now. So with 13 laps to go, looking good at the moment. And now down the inside of Jack Aitken, the second Renault we've seen this afternoon. He gives us the room, but ultimately stays ahead. But we dart to the right. He goes to the inside. Can we make another switchback move to the inside as we go down on the left, fast left hand, down the inside again at the swimming pool section? And for the third time there, we've made a move. So really, really loving that sector there. And that was a really awesome move on our fellow countryman Jack Aitken to get up the order. Now we're looking at a replay of Sophia Flores going dramatically out of the Monaco Grand Prix. Engine smoking there. It's been a horrid season for the Monster Rehab team after such lofty heights last season. Of course, this year with all the aero regulations, it really, catches out the lower teams maybe with less budget. And of course, from such a height they were last season to fallen from grace so far and having an equally torrid time now on round 10 as we move back to our POV now, closing up to Dan Ricciardo now, the McLaren here in P5 and going down the inside now with straight line speed at our advantage here with the Chevrolet power behind us in this Haas, and we're down the inside for a pretty damn nice move. And a neat one at that, up into P5. And I think that may, unfortunately, though, be the maximum we can hope for, because at the moment, in the lead of this Grand Prix is Max Verstappen on super soft tyres. Then you got Charles Leclerc in second place, followed quite closely, actually, behind in third place. You can just see behind Pierre Gasly, and then P4 is Pascal Wehrlein. So Leclerc, Gasly, and Wehrlein, three of them on a one-stop today. Verstappen, the only guy in the top four on a two-stop here, and you can see I've joined him on the two-stop strategy in P5. So you can see the difference, though, is really, although I've been able to beat everyone else, I haven't been able to get back ahead of Gasly and Wehrlein due to all the traffic I hit. And in contrast, Verstappen had no such traffic, and he's been going pretty damn well. So you could have seen what I was saying before. On paper, my strategy could have worked out very nicely, but the fact I got held up so much in traffic and had to make so many overtakes, although entertaining, has meant that I've fallen down the order 2 places than I would have been from what was third earlier on in the Grand Prix. Now we move on to lap 34. We've actually got quite an awkward situation here. You've got the two Audis there in shot, and that's actually Verstappen at the tail end of this train with blue flags for the Jaguar and his teammate Carlos Sainz. So there goes Verstappen down the inside, blue flags, and he's lapping his teammate. But Sainz looks like he's not having any of it. He's opening DRS to try and fight his teammates. So the two Audis go side by side, and look at that, the Jaguar Van Dorn down the inside to make it 3 wide, and Sainz is into the wall, and he's got major damage on his front wing there. So you had Verstappen trying to lap his teammate, you had Van Dorn trying to be opportunistic and trying to make an overtake on Sainz if he could down the inside to make it 3 wide to turn 1. That's not ended well for Carlos Sainz, and so he was already out of the points, and now that's just added to his misery there. And very, very awkward indeed there with both the Audi guys, and I'm sure Sainz would have been gritting his teeth there as Verstappen tried to lap him. And now Verstappen round the outside of the McLaren. He's made some contact with the wall as he laps Lando Norris there. Very awkward position for Norris to try and let the race leader through, and he's got a lot of damage on the front wing, and usually around Monaco, with that amount of damage, that's not going to be pretty in terms of in the corners, and it's actually going to be a pit stop then for the Audi guys, and that's huge because there is Charles Leclerc, second place in the Ferrari. And could this be the race lead changing hands here? And could it be fortune for Ferrari and Leclerc as he goes through the last couple of corners here, and Verstappen is in the pit lane at the moment and across the line, and that will be Leclerc into the lead of the Monaco Grand Prix. Verstappen now going down the order into P4, what it'll be, is there goes Wehrlein and Pierre Gasly then. So that is huge stuff at the end of this race. It all is just put on its head in a split second, and as we go through the final lap of the Grand Prix, now on board with Leclerc there, now off board, and through the final few corners, through Rasgas there, it's going to be Charles Leclerc in his home Grand Prix to come through to win the Monaco Grand Prix in 2021, to take his second win of the season and third for Ferrari this season there. What a story that is. At the death, Leclerc gets some luck and he's up into first and wins the Grand Prix. Gasly in second and Wehrlein third, which is pretty big news for us as well, because that means Gasly would technically just get more points over us in terms of the gap now of points to him, to me, as we cross the line in P5 still, as Verstappen was still able to come home in P4 there, is going to be greater than it would have been if Gasly had finished up in third, not second. And so, as we go through to end this Grand Prix, quite topsy-turvy for the entire top 10 really, because Ricciardo comes through to score some great points for McLaren finally. Jack Aitken gets 7th place, so that will be great for him, and Renault to leapfrog BMW Williams once again, and the two Jaguar cars try their best with a double point scoring positions, albeit a low one there, with Hulkenberg Hulkenberg just about rounding in the points. And now, so for the World Drivers' Championship, this is how it'll affect things. Pierre Gasly now takes the lead of the championship once again with 125 points, so my 121, 4 points off there in second. And Charles Leclerc now thrusts himself into the lead of the chasing pack in third place with 104. Giovinazzi down to fourth, Sainz fifth, Verline sixth, and Verstappen trying his best to close up the order with that fourth place. What it could have been for him, it could have been a second win for him this season. Alas, it was now Charles Leclerc's second win this season. And you can see not too much change then from P8 down to P12. Van Dorn, Hulkenberg, Kari, Vettel, and Schumacher. In the Constructors, though, Ferrari now do get back a lead in the Constructors' Championship by 6 points to Red Bull there, with 187 to 181. Jaguar only 2 points ahead of us now with Haas, 155 to 157. So we did some great work there with Verline, obviously getting third and myself fifth. So we've got ahead of Audi now. So to say Audi, you know, they've looked the dominant force in the last 2 seasons. This season, the season where it's all about aerodynamics rather than the pure engine power, and just the fact that that car of theirs has been such a diva, it's meant they're really floundering. But you can see clearly in terms of the points, it's a very, very close season in terms of the Constructors' Championship. You know, from P1 down to P5, that's such a tight gap compared to previous seasons. So although it looks like Audi are completely, you know, bottling this championship, they're not too far off. You know, that's, you know, only 1 or 2 great double podium races for them, and they're right back in it. So it's going to make these last 4 rounds really quite enthralling in terms of what's going to happen and how unpredictable it has been so far this season there. And you can see finally Renault do get back ahead of BMW Williams, which has been a great little scrap there for P7 and P8 in the championship. But guys, if you have enjoyed this episode, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly full-on content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.